What's up, nerds? It's me, Reptil, here again with another DIY video. And this week we're doing something very easy and simple. We're going to be taking some album artwork, and you could even do this with promotional photos of bands. Hell, you could do it with a photo of your cat if you want to make a back patch out of your cat. But anyway, we're going to be taking some photography, some album art, and we are going to be turning it into a back patch. So let's get right into this shit right here. Alright, guys. So, if you're anything like me, I like wearing band merch. But I always have the issue of, finding a cool band and they don't have any merch, or their merch is very limited, or they specifically don't even have patches or anything. And this is like, especially true for like metal bands, goth bands, whatever. It doesn't matter what type of a band you want to do this with. All you're going to need is some album art or some really good promotional photography to make these back patches. And honestly, like if you want, you could even attempt to do this on t-shirts, hoodies, whatever. It should work on any cloth material. But yeah, I'll stop rambling. Let's start this video. Alright, so here we are. We have this really cool promotional photography from Zheani. I believe it's from the Meaning Happiness music video. But yeah, this is what we're going to be basing our back patch off of. And before I even go any farther, I know that I'm going to be getting some trolls in the comments saying, Reptil, why are you making a Zheani patch? She's not even a punk band. Well, I'm going to keep it real with you. I really don't care. There's more than enough boring tutorials on the internet of people half-assing some fucking Misfits or Black Flag patch. And you guys can go watch their videos if you want. But for this video, we are going to be doing Zheani. So you can die mad about that. Alright, so we got our image. Now we're going to open it up in a photo editing app, or even something like a photo editing program like Microsoft Paint, or whatever the hell you might have. We're going to turn it into a negative image. And this is a good time to see if the image that you've chosen will make a good back patch. So this specific image is going to look great. So let's continue on. So to make this seem more legit like a back patch, I actually went and found a Zheani logo. I edited it over the picture of her, and yeah, that's what I did. And then, as you can see, I went back and I kind of fleshed out the logo to make it more appropriate for a stencil. Now, once you start making stencils, this will make more sense to you. But you don't really want that many thin lines or lines that are really, really close to each other because they're just a pain in the ass. And as you can see, I circled kind of where I fleshed out the logo. So yeah, once you start making stencils, this will make more sense. And the specific logo I just chose was a little bit more advanced. If you're starting off as like a new stencil maker, like try to keep your designs a little bit more on the simple side and then work your way up to more advanced designs. Okay, so this is something that I do. I'll take my finished image and I'll upload it to a stencil generator online. I will be putting the link in the video description, and it just helps you save ink when you actually print this bad boy out. But there it is. It's pretty much just a black and white outline at this point. So let's continue. So here's the supplies you're going to need. You're going to need an iron. You're going to need freezer paper, not wax paper, not parchment paper. You're going to specifically need freezer paper. You're going to need some fabric paint. You could also use acrylic paint. I've seen people use screen printing ink. I'm going to be using fabric paint. You're going to need some canvas. Comes in all sorts of colors. I'm going to be using black canvas today. You're also going to need an X-Acto blade or a razor. X-Acto blades are much easier to work with. You're also going to need a sponge brush and some other things like a pair of scissors, and also black fabric paint, black paint, whatever paint you're using. We're going to need it in black. Or you could also use like a black paint marker. So let's go from here. Alright, so this step is where we take a piece of printer paper and we're going to set it on top of our freezer paper. we're going to outline the printer paper, and then we are going to cut it out. Now, if you look at your freezer paper, you'll notice there's a shiny side, and there's also a dull side. We are going to be printing on the dull side. So we're going to set our paper in our printer, and all the printers are different, but whatever way you set it up, you want to make sure that it prints on the dull side and not the shiny side. Okay, here's our image. We just uploaded it into a paint program. So if you guys don't have a printer, I will be posting a link to one of my previous videos. It will be in the description, but part of that video goes in and shows you guys how to get away with not using a printer. It's pretty easy, and that's what I used to do all the time. So check out that description for the link. Okay, so here's our stencil. We're going to take it and tape it onto a piece of cardboard. Then we're going to take our X-Acto blade and slowly cut out all of our pieces. Now, this stencil doesn't really have any what I like to call inserts, but let's say you're doing a stencil with a lot of letters that have inserts. You're going to want to keep those inserts, and you're going to want to iron them back into place when we start ironing. I actually go into more detail about these inserts in my previous video. Like I said, the link will be in the description. Pretty much after I cut out all of the inside of the stencil, I like to put it between a bunch of heavy books and kind of flatten it out overnight just so it lays down better. But here we go. We got our stencil. We are ready to go. Alright, so first things first, we're going to iron out our canvas so it's nice and smooth, okay? Then we're going to just slowly dab on the heat of the iron and just kind of tack the image down. You want to be very careful because this paper is extremely delicate, and you just don't want to come in there and just start pressing and sliding across. Just like slowly dab it down at first, make it stick, and then you're going to want to come back and you're going to want to work these edges, and then you're just really going to want to apply the heat. You're going to be doing this for a couple of minutes. Just make sure it's really down, and you just take your time, okay? So I'm going to, yeah, just do that. I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, so here we go. We already got the bottom half. Let's work our way around the top. And yeah, just be very careful. This paper is extremely delicate. Like you can see like her eyes and her face. Like you're going to want to be very careful not to rip that off. And especially when you get up there in the logo and you got like the tendrils of the lettering, like it's just really delicate. So just take your time. And yeah, I'll show you when I'm done. Yep, still working that logo. And yeah, take your time. I know I keep saying it, but you don't want to like mess your shit up and ruin it after you spend all this time cutting it out, because that sucks. But here we go. Just very slowly iron it down. You get it. I know you guys are slow, but you understand. Alright, so it's tacked down. Now we're going to go back and just really apply that heat. You want to make sure that your stencil is very much adhered to your canvas, because if it's not, and you go and put some paint on top of it, the paint is actually going to bleed underneath your stencil, and it's just not going to be a good thing. So just really work it. So there we go. So here we go. This stencil is ready to be painted. Let's do our last and final step. So here's the paint. When you do use your paint, you don't want to make your layers extremely thick and heavy. You want your layers to be light. And we're going to probably do, I'd say like 3 nice light layers. You're going to allow plenty of time to dry in between each layer. So here we go. We don't want it to be like splooged onto the sponge brush. We just want it to be on there nice and light, and we're just going to dab it on for our first layer. You don't want to just slather it on because you just don't want to fuck your shit up. But here we go. We're going to dab it on. We're going to dab the entire surface, and once it's nice and dabbed on, we're going to smooth it out, and then we're going to let it dry for a few hours, or you could even let it dry overnight if you want to. But let's do our first layer, and then I'll show you the second layer. So here's the first layer. It's all done. We let it dry overnight, And now we're gonna go back and do a second layer. And remember, it's gonna be just like the first, just nice and light, okay? Don't overdo it. And here we are, we got our second layer done. Now we're gonna go back and do a third layer. And these light layers are just gonna build up and just make a nice white image. And like I said, guys, make sure you give plenty of time between each layer and let it dry, at least a few hours. Like I said, I did mine overnight. But anyway, here's the last and final step, is where we actually start peeling off the freezer paper. And I really like went to town on this, and the paper was just stuck on there, which is what you want. But yeah, I had to take a razor blade to get the paper off, and it took a while, but it was definitely worth it. So here, let's finish this up, and I'll show you what it looks like when all the paper's off. Fantastic. So we're almost done. We got our white paint on. Now we're going to go back with either our black fabric paint or even a black paint marker. And we're just going to clean up these edges. Like if a little bit of the paint bled underneath, it's okay. We're going to go back and clean up any edges. We're going to sharpen any points. And alternatively, if you want to go back with a fine point paint marker and you want to add some details to the patch, you can absolutely do that during this step. Also, if you've made any mistakes, this is the step where you'll go back with your black paint and fix them up right now. But here we go. Here's the finished product. As you can see, I went back and cut it out. When you do cut your back patch out, make sure you leave, I'd say, at least an inch around the patch for you to fold it over. That way it doesn't fray when you sew it onto whatever you're going to sew it onto. But anyway, that's all done, cleaned up. Not too bad for a back patch that you've made out of nothing. So hopefully you've learned something. If you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe, follow my Instagram. That'll be at the end of the video. But yeah, comment down below. Let me know what you want me to make next. What do you want to see? Is it patches? Is it leather gear? Let me know, and I'll keep on doing these videos. So enjoy.